Good evening once more. My name is Abdiaziz, Hashim, and a sign language interpreter at the bottom end of his screen is Joyce Wairimu. Let's start on education matters. Kenyan schools will remain closed for the next 1 month following a directive by the government as one of the measures aimed at preventing the spread of coronavirus. Education Cabinet Secretary, that is Professor George Magoha, who made the announcement, however, said the national examination for primary and secondary school remain on schedule.
I want to emphasize the fact that for the past 4 weeks or so, the children have been on normal vacation, an activity that will end on the 4th of May of this year. And in the interest of the safety and lives of our children, our beloved children, the government has decided to extend school closure for 1 month, effective from the date of opening. During the intervening periods, there will be many interventions that will depend on how the government is able to control this disease. I want to emphasize one point, that whenever the examination is going to be administered, every child, every Kenyan child will have been given the opportunity to cover whatever time that is lost before the said examination is administered. At this point that I'm speaking to you, the government has not decided to postpone both the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education.
Still on the same briefing, the Ministry of Health has intensified the war against COVID-19 as it embarks on testing truck drivers at all border points to mitigate the spread of the contagion. This comes even as coronavirus cases in Kenya have risen to 355 after 12 more cases have been reported in the country.
Kenya has surpassed 100 mark for recovery of COVID-19 patient after the Ministry of Health announced that 8 more patients have been released.
That today we have surpassed the 100 mark for recovery of patients. In the last 24 hours, we have discharged 8 patients from our hospitals. This brings to 106 the total number of our recoveries.
The Ministry of Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Rashid Oman said 8 of the new cases are from Nairobi and 4 from Mombasa.
Last 1 week, the number of those who have died from COVID-19 have remained at 14. Within the same period, we have discharged 39 persons. This is an indication of the dedication of our healthcare workers.
The ministry has further outlined how cases in Nairobi and Mombasa are being distributed, given that they have recorded high cases of COVID-19 in the country. The Nairobi cases are spread out between Kibra having 2, Karen has recorded 1 case, Dandura has 1, Isli has 1, Kasarani has 1, South Bay 1, and Umoja has so far recorded 1. Mombasa's 4 cases were from Movita Kuze, Mishomoroni, Movita Bondeni, and Barsheba. The ministry also is set to test all truck drivers at all border points. This is after 5 Kenyan truck drivers who arrived in Uganda having tested positive for coronavirus.
12 are Kenyans, but 3 have a recent history of travel from Somalia. They are aged between 14 and 60 years.
Only we now urge that KEBS, that is Kenya Bureau of Standard, to also enhance their capability at the county level so that this manufacturing is not only centralized in Nairobi, but also in the counties, because a lot of efforts are happening at the county.
Cases in the neighboring countries have also been on the rise, as the number of those who have died from COVID-19 having remained at 14 in the country. Davis Mberia, Ebru News.
Indeed, we do appreciate our frontline soldiers during this time. Those are the doctors. Continue with the good work. Now to the churches. Church leaders have asked Kenyans to adhere to the government's directive meant to combat the coronavirus, besides their faith that the virus won't spread even further. Nairobi Archbishop, that is Martin Kivuva of Mombasa Catholic Diocese, and Bishop Carl Karaoke of Deliverance here in Nairobi cautioned some Christians flouting the guidelines, a move that is likely to cost the nation dearly. Our reporter Jeff Haimba with more details on that particular story.
The decision by the government to suspend public gatherings, particularly in churches, mosques and political rallies, has contributed much to the little spread of the coronavirus. Church leaders who initially were reluctant over the closure of the churches have now joined the bandwagon by calling upon the Kenyans to embrace the measures imposed by the government.
There is no battle between the church and the government. This is for the good of the individual.
We have a long way to go still, but it is for the good of the country. The extension, which I understand was extended yesterday, it gives also the responsibility of the government to ensure people don't go hungry.
According to Bishop Karaoke of the Deliverance Church, Nairobi, and Martin Kivuva, the Catholic Archbishop of Mombasa Diocese, says the coronavirus should be a wake-up call to all the leaders in the country in their service to humanity.
But one good thing the corona has done, at least a good it came, because it has made even the mighty know there is God. It has made the superpowers know there is a higher power. Not even the political class, even the superstar preachers. The superstar preachers, they also know there is nothing you can do. We are all serving God. Now they cannot sell water.
The duo have, however, folded a section of the Christians who defied the COVID-19 measures outlined by the World Health Organization meant to curb the coronavirus. The majority of the countries after the outbreak of the virus went ahead to suspend the public gatherings, including churches. However, a few countries have given a deaf ear over the church closure, believing God is everything and will be able to salvage the situation.
There is faith and foolishness. And a lot of Christians operate in foolishness in the name of faith. Faith does not mean you not reasoning. It doesn't mean that you don't reason. It means faith is you look at the facts the way they are. You acknowledge the facts the way they are. Once you have acknowledged, now you can say the word of God rises above these facts.
Coronavirus cases in the country has risen to 355 after 12 more patients tested positive for COVID-19.
Lawama yake naelewa ni kwamba mazingara ya pale ni very specific. Watalii, poti na wanaoingia wakitoka, meli hizi sijui zinabeba nini na wakina nani. So the state of the place ni rahisi sana kuambukiza.
We are pleading with the government not to allow those foreigners to come and do their vaccine tests here, because the situation here is not as bad as in their country.
So far, the country has recorded 106 recoveries, with the death toll remaining at 14. The fight against COVID-19, according to President Uhuru Kenyatta, requires a multi-sectoral approach in order to end the pandemic, which has run the country for the last 45 days so far. Reporter for Ebru TV, I'm Jeff Haimba.
Now to a story that has elicited mixed reactions online. Health CS Mutahi Kagwe has come under fire for allegedly firing a top research scientist at Kemri. Kagwe is said to dismiss Dr. Joel Lutomia, the Center for Virus Research Director, on 17th of April for following reports that he failed to release the results on time, a move many Kenyans online feel is not necessary right now when the country is grappling with a growing number on COVID-19.
Since the first case was reported in Kenya in mid-March, Kemri has tested more than 6,000 people under the leadership of Dr. Joel Lutomia the Center for Virus Research Director. However, his reign at the largest testing facility in the country came to an end following Health CS's directive to remove Dr. Lutomia from any leadership at KEMRI. Kenyans on Twitter have questioned Dr. Lutomia's dismissal, saying the reason is unsubstantive. Some have criticized the move, saying the timing is not good given the COVID-19 pandemic that has brought the world to a standstill. This even as the institute has accused the government of neglect and only supplying them with gumboots. The institution does not have money as it has used its funds and equipment from other programs to keep the coronavirus work going. In order to increase capacity, screening kits, production and vaccine development, KEMRI is looking for 150 million shillings to procure equipment like freezers, autoclave, DNA synthesizers, protein synthesizers, guillotines and Illumina sequencers. KEMRI has received 6,000 testing kits from the government and 1,000 from Clinton Foundation. The consignment is to be shared among the institute's satellite clinics, including Kisumu, Nairobi, Kericho, Kilifi, and Ampath, and Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. The institute has begun exploring other ways of supporting the proposed COVID-19 research areas, especially those of immediate impact. The scientists are seeking 790 million shillings for personnel, equipment, and other programs. Winnie Lubembe for Ebru TV.
Several garment manufacturers in Thika Town have resorted to produce face masks and other protective gears to survive the economic slump and also help in the fight against COVID-19 as the manufacturers now want the government to buy locally manufactured protective gear instead of importing to support local industries that have since switched to the production of PPEs.
Textile manufacturers in Thika Town said they were capable of meeting the demand of the protective equipment within Kiambu County and other neighboring counties given the necessary support. Thika Cloth Mill CEO Tajal Dothia said that they were forced to venture into the face mask business following the surging demand for the product after the government directive that made the wearing of the protective gear compulsory.
Every Kenyan now needs to wear a mask. And Thika Cloth Mill saw this as an opportunity of that this is something we can do. We can make masks, we can make cotton masks. It will benefit the cotton farmer, it benefits the textile factory. And then what we did was we gave out material to a lot of our customers, almost like 30 or 40 customers, and they made the masks.
She said their production is demand-driven and added that their products are sometimes donated to the needy or sold to corporate companies. Anthony Kirori, a prominent Juja businessman who also owns a garment manufacturing company, said many companies were suffering during this period and called for government support through incentives.
Because this is helping create some employment here, especially at this very critical time. However, I pray and hope that even after the coronavirus, may the government continue that momentum of buying products made in Kenya. That way, we'll be able to uplift the quality of life of the average Kenyan citizen.
His sentiments were echoed by Helen Kanyari, who is the CEO for Weavebird Garment Manufacturers based in Thika Town, who said they have the capacity to produce enough masks for the town dwellers.
Ili janga la COVID-19 limetufunza kama Wakenya kwamba tuko na uwezo wa kufanya kazi sisi wenyewe locally. Hasa hizi mask watu wengi sana wanashona, sisi tuko na uwezo wa kutengeneza mask 30,000 masaa 12, tunafanya kazi na shift 2. So wengine kama wana uwezo wa kutoa mask kama sisi, inamaanisha kwamba Kenya watu locally, industries local, tuko na uwezo wa kutoa mask, hakuna haja serikali import mask kutoka nje.
She also called on leaders not to shy away from helping the poor get access to these protective gears. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Now let's come back to the country. Kenyans are one way or another aiding in the fight against COVID-19 in their own way. Samson Waithaka, a resident of Kariobangi South, who used to earn a living off his bicycle, has turned it into an awareness campaign. He has been able to visit numerous areas in the city, warning the danger COVID-19 poses if the regulations set out by the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization are not adhered to. The effects of COVID-19 has been felt in every part of this country. Many have lost their jobs and each are coping in their own way. Samson Waithaka, a Kariobangi South resident who used to earn a living through his bicycle, has now resorted to other means. The pandemic has led to job losses and businesses have been adversely affected.
Baiskeli inabebaga watoto kutoka kwa shule. Na kutoka shule ifungwe, mimi tukaambiwa tukae kwa nyumba. Lakini kukaa wiki moja, nilitokezea nikasikia hakuna watu town, watu wanaogopa juu ya hii ugonjwa ya corona. Nikaona nikiwa kwa nyumba, naumia juu chakula ni shida. Juu niko na familia ya watu 5.
It took Samson hours to make them, and he says he only requires a second of your time to look and internalize the message. Samson has made stops in Hurlingham, Kibera, Kariobangi, Karen, and various parts of this city to showcase the dangers the disease poses if the regulations set out by the Ministry of Health as well as the World Health Organization are not adhered to.
Kurara kama hizi niliandika nikipindua ilinyeshewa. Ikinyeshewa lazima ninunue zingine. Kama hizi niliandika hadi saa 7 usiku.
Some have criticized what he is doing according to him, because if he finds people gathered against the Ministry of Health regulations, he blows his whistle to draw their attention and raises his signboard that simply says, "Keep distance."
Ni kama nilienda Karen nilifukuzwa, nikaambiwa Karen hakuna ugonjwa, niende Kibira na Korogosho. Nikatii, nikaambia watu hii ugonjwa ni mbaya, wakubali vile wanaambiwa na serikali. Nikaona hii ugonjwa ni kama devil, ndio nimeandika nyuma, ni kama devil juu ni kitu imeshida zile inchi powerful.
The Ministry of Health has maintained that complacency will derail the fight against COVID-19 as cases in the country continue to soar.
So huyu mzee amehakikisha kutumia hii baiskeli licha kubeba watoto, kuhakikisha anajaribu kutangaza mambo ya afya venye watu wanaweza kaa, na ni kama labda kuna shida zaidi.
It is not known when this nightmare, as many have called, will end, but if we follow the guidelines set out by the Ministry of Health, we will overcome this surging pandemic as more than 2 million people have already been infected with COVID-19. This is the plea of Samson Waithaka, and he urges many Kenyans to join in the fight against COVID-19 as cases here in the country continue to increase day by day. Abdiaziz, Hashim, Ebru TV, Nairobi County. Now to a little bit of politics. Soy Member of Parliament Caleb Kositany has urged members of the ruling party to respect the party's constitution. Kositany further echoed that the Secretary General, that is Raphael Tuju, should not run the affairs of the party without the input of the members, as cracks in the party continue to be evident.
We are asking Tuju, whatever he does within the party, let us just follow the law. That is all we are asking for. So we are working at cross purposes, because Tuju is doing things in a Juakali way. I am doing things, setting things straight to follow the law and the constitution of the party and the constitution of Kenya and the registrar of political parties of Kenya. So we really have to get things straight in Jubilee. As I had said before, it's not going to be business as usual for Tuju. Whatever letter he writes must be accompanied by minutes of those who attended the meeting and the resolution, because from now henceforth, we are not going to, we trusted them and we let them run the party the way they wanted, and we thought they were doing it for the good of the party. But they have come up with issues, like you can really, how do you explain? Even though the meeting they claimed to have had was illegal, how do you explain replacing 3 people with 5? There is no way Tuju can sit with Morade and claim that they have had an NMC meeting, where Morade is like me. He's not a member of the National Management Committee. The automatic members, by virtue of the offices they hold of the National Management Committee, are the chairman, the Secretary General, and the treasurer.
Expect more rain this week. This is according to the Kenya Meteorological Department. Several parts of the country are expected to continue receiving moderate rainfall till Thursday, 30th of April 2020. The department has also urged people living in flood-prone areas to move to higher grounds. The rains will continue into this week as various parts in the country are expected to experience moderate rainfall. The rains for the past week has destroyed homes, killed and displaced many in the Rift Valley region. The Met Department has warned those living in flood-prone areas to move to higher grounds. Residents living in Tana River, Kitui, parts of Makueni, Murang'a, Kiambu, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot and Nyando areas that are prone to landslides and where the water may start spilling over have been urged to move. The heavy rains that continue to be experienced in parts of Mount Kenya and the Abdiaziz region have led to an increase in the volume of water being spilled by the Seven Forks Dam. Motorists heading to Nairobi from Homa Bay, Kuria, Migori, Kisii, Bomet and Narok have been told to use the Kericho-Nakuru route. This comes even as President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on Kenyans living in flood and landslide-prone areas to move to safer grounds. Uhuru said so far 29 Kenyans have died due to the heavy rains, which have caused havoc in parts of the country, especially in West Pokot and Elgeyo Marakwet counties.
We mourn the 29 Kenyans who have lost their lives in Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot, and my administration continues to make every effort to support affected families and communities across the country. We continue to warn our fellow Kenyans that coming out of last year, where the rains were still very heavy and now are heavy once again, the risk of flooding, the risk of mudslides are increasing, and I would request and really plead with all Kenyans to follow the advice that is coming from the Ministry of Interior, that is coming from our meteorological people, that please let us move to higher ground.
He said the government was working with the county governments hard hit by the heavy rains and the Kenya Defence and National Police Forces to help those affected with food and other basic items. Now to a story that has sparked a debate. The Chinese city of Wuhan, where the global coronavirus pandemic began, now has no remaining cases in its hospital. According to a health official in China, all COVID-19 patients from Wuhan have been discharged. The novel coronavirus is believed to have originated in a wet market in Wuhan and first emerged in December before spreading quickly worldwide.
Addressing journalists, National Health Commission spokesman Mei Feng said the number of new coronavirus patients in Wuhan was at 0, while attributing the success to the joint efforts of Wuhan and medical staff from around the country. The city had reported 46,452 cases, 56% of the national total, and it saw 3,869 fatalities, or 84% of China's total. Wuhan and the province of Hubei were put in lockdown near the end of January, with roads sealed, trains and planes cancelled, and residents unable to move freely for more than 2 months. The city is still testing residents regularly, despite relaxing the restrictions. The focus has since shifted to the northeast border province of Heilongjiang, which has seen large numbers of imported coronavirus cases entering from Russia. China's health authority had earlier reported 11 new coronavirus cases on the mainland on April 25th, down from 12 the previous day, with no fatalities. Currently, some 2.83 million people have been reported to be infected globally, and 197,872 have died.
Now to the states. For urban dwellers under stay-at-home orders, finding ways to safely exercise outdoors has been challenging in Oakland, California, where many parks have been closed. City planners are experimenting with the turning streets into temporary recreation areas.
When Oakland, California closed most parks and playgrounds on April 1st, many claustrophobic residents moved to the sidewalks for exercise. This created new risks.
People don't have enough space to move in their neighborhood to access essential services or do what they want to do to stay healthy and sane, like go for a neighborhood bike ride or run.
Only a week later, transportation planners implemented a bold plan, restricting cars on 74 miles of the city's streets and giving those who walk, ride, and jog a lot more room to roam.
We've done soft closures of the street to warn motorists that pedestrians and children on bikes might be in the street, something they're not used to seeing.
The so-called slow streets are evenly distributed throughout the city and were selected based on the city's long-range plan for bike routes.
we're really excited to just see how it goes, which is why we're starting really small and just hearing back from people how they feel about it. We're trying to take advantage of the time when most people shouldn't be driving hardly at all. We've noticed that traffic is down 60%. This might be a really great way to jumpstart people using their streets in different ways.
On some streets, acceptance was immediate.
The day they put out the cones, we saw it, so we went out, and it was really fun. And yeah, we've been doing it pretty much every day.
It's nice to have a safe space for kids to get outside that's not focused on cars streaming through.
Adriana finally has the space she needs to learn to ride her bike.
I've almost learned it today. I only have to get my steering right.
Other U.S. cities have been testing slow streets, even prior to the pandemic. In Oakland, the plan is for the streets to return to normal as physical distancing rules are lifted. But for some, this taste of freedom may be difficult to give up.
I think we'll miss it. Yeah, I would love to see something like this in certain parts becoming more permanent.
Matt Dibble for VOA News, Oakland, California.
To some sports news now. This year's delayed London Marathon may now be restricted to elite runners only. In the 2020 edition of the race through the British capital was meant to take place on today, but has been postponed until October 4th because of the coronavirus outbreak, but with no certainty as to when the British government lockdown restriction banning mass gatherings will be lifted. A race that featured nearly 43,000 runners last year may now follow the lead of the last month's Tokyo Marathon, which went ahead with elite runners only. Distance greats Eliud Kipchoge and Kenese Bekele are meant to compete in the elites men race at this year's London Marathon.
Remains untouched by anybody so far. This is Radcliffe-esque. This is Eliud Kipchoge in supreme form, 150 metres to run.
To England now. And that marks the end of our bulletin. This primetime news on the 26th of April 2020 will continue updating you on the coronavirus pandemic here in the country and of course globally in our New Day team and our subsequent bulletins. My name is Abdiaziz. Hashim, our sign language interpreter. At the bottom end of the screen has been Joyce Wairimu, and a special thanks to the gallery and here in the studio for making this production successful. To you, stay at home, continue social distancing, wash your hands. Good night and stay safe.